Hey, welcome back to another object lesson video today. I'm so glad that you are joining me on this. I hope that you're having a great day. So today we are going to be talking about one of the greatest stories in the Bible. And we're going to be talking about how Moses leads the people of Israel out of Egypt and takes them back, and the idea is to go back to the Promised Land. And so they left in the night, they went across desert sands, they went through the Red Sea until finally they were safe. You know, kind of it's that sigh of relief, right? And then that's when people started complaining. So if we look in the book of Exodus chapter 16, it says that, starting in verse 1 there, they set out from Elim, and all the congregation of the people of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had departed from the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the people of Israel said to them, "What that we have died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full? Or have you brought us out in the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger?" Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I am about to rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day." And so they didn't have food that would last them for a long period of time. They were traveling. There was a lot of them, and a few million people is what some people estimate was the number of folks that were traveling with Moses at this time. And so it was a formidable group of folks, and they didn't have sustainable food with them. And they were in some pretty arid places where there wasn't a lot of things they could forage. And so they went to Moses and said, "We're going to starve to death because you didn't give us any food. How are you going to provide for us out here in this desert?" And so he goes and he prays to God, and God says, "I'm going to drop this food down from heaven." And man, they were hungry. And they didn't have that to take care of them. And so this manna was bread, and it wasn't just bread, but it was bread from heaven. And that's a pretty big deal. I mean, think about the miracle of that. Having God send food down from heaven every day, and that they could go out and collect it. And if you read that whole chapter and the chapters after this, it talks about the idea was you went out every morning and you gathered enough for that day. And so God was providing you enough for that day. And he told them, hey, if you go and you gather more than you can eat in one day, when you wake up the next morning, the food that you got to save for the next day would be bad. It would go moldy and it wouldn't be any good to eat. And so a few people tested that, and they took extra, and when they woke up in the morning, it was bad. It went bad on them. And so the idea there was God was saying to them, I'm going to provide for you what you need for today. And then tomorrow, I'm going to provide for you what you need for tomorrow. And the next day, I'm going to provide for you what you need on that day. But I don't want you taking more than you need each and every day. And so that's what God would do. And so let's go back to the time of those hot, hungry desert days. And so we have our Israelite camp right here. This is the camp, right? And what I have here is this, what I call a Manna Copter. And so, and then you see that there's manna here, and so every day God would provide manna for them. And that's a pretty big miracle. That's amazing that God would do that. Now think about that. And this camp was a mobile camp, and every so often they would get up and they'd move to a new place. And every morning they woke up and they went out, the bread was there for them to take. And so not only was it a miracle that God was giving the Israelites bread from heaven every day, but he was also putting it in the exact location that they needed it to be. One day it was over here, and then they would move, and then the next day it would need to be here. And in that vast, huge area of desert, God always found exactly where they were, and he put it right where they needed it. And so let's see if we could do that, replicate that a little bit with our Manna Copter. So here's the camp. Here's the manna from heaven. Let's see if we can make it land where it's supposed to. Right on the camp, right? And it would, every time God would give them, every day it would come and it would land exactly where it was supposed to land, right? Every single day it would come and it would be provided for them. And they didn't have to complain about anything, even though they found other things to complain about, like we all do. It fell right into the Israelite camp every single time. And so God provided for the Israelites every day. And it was a miracle every single day. And the lesson we pull from that, guys and girls, is that God provides for us every single day. Now, you might not go out on your lawn right now. If you go out on your lawn, you might find it'll be a little bit muddy because all the snow's melting. But you might see some snow, and you might see some mud, and you might see some other things out there if you have pets, you know what I'm saying, right? But you won't find manna from heaven. But what God will do for you is he will provide for the needs that you have, and he will take care of the ways, the things that you need every day. And so when we pray to him, when we seek out God's will for our lives, when we are encouraged by him through the reading of his word, God will provide the needs that we have, and he will do it in a bunch of different ways. He will always take care of us. And so, just like the Israelite camps, God provided resources for them. God will do the same thing for us. All right? So you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this little object lesson about how God provided for Israel in the time when they desperately needed it, and that God can provide for you the needs that you have each and every day. All right? Have a great week, and we will see you on the next video.